That's what happens when you don't say yes to a proposal. You get a sprout in the eye.
Hello and welcome back to the CU. Today we're going to be doing something weird again. And we're going to be playing with Brussels sprout juggling balls that my nan kindly got me for Christmas, probably thinking that they'll make a really good CU video. So thanks, Nan.
Thanks, Connor's nan. My normal juggling tactic is literally just to throw them up, kind of guess, and see what happens.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not right. It's never gone right, I can tell you that.
It really doesn't. Because it...
This looks like the weirdest proposal. I will accept your hand, Sam. Oh my gosh!
Are you clean now?
I think so.
So I'm going to give you this one because it's the sad, miserable one.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I caught that.
I'm going to have the happy one.
Wait, why have we got one each? How are we going to juggle?
We're going to have to start off very basically.
Yeah.
With catching one ball.
Oh, this is tricky. That's right in my eye! Now I see why you gave me the sad one.
I'm having a great time.
I'm so embarrassed for what's about to happen.
That's awful.
Now you've said that's awful, you have to better that.
Wouldn't it be hilarious now if I'd been fibbing this whole time and I was actually a really good juggler?
Are there any sprout puns?
No.
I mean, this is going quite well, to be honest. Look at this. Darn it. Oh my god! I realise now this is very awkward to watch someone else.
Yeah. Where did that go?
Is it not? Is it actually not on the sofa?
How have we lost
For real, I swear. When? Right, if I can just do one, I'll just keep the clip. I'll just...
Like a
Wait.
GIF?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
a GIF. Oh no.
So you may have watched that and just thought how hopeless we were. Thinking back, it might not have been my best video suggestion that I've ever made. Gemma's got some really hard work to do to try and get a video out of all of that.
Whatever you've seen and you think that's really bad, just think about the stuff I've cut out of the video.
Yep. However, today we are going to look at hope. So you may have thought we were hopeless. Let's look at something a bit less hopeless. But it may not have been the start to 2021 that you would have been looking for, with all of the new restrictions and schools closing and just general chaos. And it's in times like this that we really need to dig into the Word of God, something that can provide us hope. So we're going to look at one story today that will provide us with a bit of hope in these hard times. The story of Joseph in Genesis is a story full of ups and downs, but one that can provide us with hope when life doesn't go how we expect it to. It's also a long story, so let's quickly go through a flyby of what happens in the story.
Joseph is his father's favourite son, and so hated by his jealous brothers.
He had amazing prophetic dreams about his future life and success.
His jealous brothers sold him into slavery.
He was then bought by Potiphar in Egypt, and because God was with him, put in charge of his household.
He had a nasty run-in with Potiphar's wife and was put in prison.
God was with him in the prison, and so put in charge of all of the prisoners.
He made friends in Pharaoh's court along the way by interpreting dreams.
He then interpreted Pharaoh's dreams, and as a reward, he was put in charge of all of Egypt.
Then he saved Egypt and his family from the famine foretold in Pharaoh's dreams.
So what can we learn from this then? Number one, God is still with us even when life is not going our way, or it seems out of control. Genesis chapter 39 verses 3 and 4 and 21 to 22 shows how that even in slavery and prison, God was still with Joseph and blessing him. This is the same with us. If we trust in God and draw near to him, then he'll be with us, and he will never leave us and never forsake us.
Sometimes we are not taken out of difficult situations as quickly as we would like. Sometimes it will take a while. Genesis 41 verse 1 shows us it takes a full 2 years before Joseph is taken out of prison. That is certainly longer than Joseph would have wanted. But in those 2 years, Joseph trusted God. God was working so that Joseph could be used as he had planned. And that leads us on to point 3.
God has the bigger picture in mind, and his plans are larger than what's happening. If Joseph hadn't been sold into slavery, he wouldn't have ended up in Egypt. And if he hadn't have ended up in Egypt, he wouldn't have been put in prison, making a friend in Pharaoh's court along the way, and then interpreting Pharaoh's dreams when he had bad dreams about a future famine. This led to Joseph being put in charge of all of Egypt during this famine, and if he wasn't in charge of Egypt during this famine, he wouldn't have been able to save his family from starvation. That family, of course, is God's chosen people, chosen to continue the biblical narrative. But we'll leave you with this verse, which I haven't wrote out and I need to now look up. It's Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, and it says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives."
So that story is all about hope. I mean, there's loads of different themes in there, but a big one is hope. And at the moment, you guys might be going through things which just seem really difficult and you can't necessarily see a way out. And for Joseph, going through that story, like, it's fine for us seeing it in retrospect and knowing what happened and knowing how God did this, God did that, God did that. But at the time, for Joseph, that might not have been so obvious. So maybe if you're in something now where you just feel hopeless and you can't understand what's going on, think about a previous time in your life or a situation that someone else has had where at the time it just seemed really impossible and there was just a lot of unknowns. But at the end of it, they were able to use retrospect to see where God might have been working. So just use that to now give you hope for this current situation, that there will come a time where there is resolution. Maybe that's on earth and it's really obvious. Maybe that's just resolution in heaven. But either way, God does have a plan to get you through, even if it's not clear right now.
And as with our video at Christmas, I would suggest stopping the video at the points where we've mentioned a Bible verse. Stop and read it for yourself. Because again, it's all good and well us saying this when actually the most important thing is you taking a look at the Bible for yourself, reading it and allowing God to speak to you through what is written there. So we'll see you next week where we'll have more random, strange things. Oh my word, what a car crash.